Larry Bird is the greatest trash talker in NBA history. Not the loudest, not the most animated, the greatest. Because Bird didn't just talk. He told you exactly what he was about to do to you, then did it anyway, while you stood there knowing it was coming and still couldn't stop it. Rookies got warned about him before their first game and still weren't ready. Veterans who had seen everything the league had to offer walked off the floor, shaking their heads. Even Gary Payton, a man who made a Hall of Fame career out of getting inside people's heads, had to sit back and admit that Bird was in a completely different category. What made it so ruthless was the combination. He wasn't just talking, he was scoring 40. He was calling the shot, running the play he already told you about, and draining the game winner while you processed what just happened. John Stockton watched him predict 41 points before tip-off and finish with exactly 41. Byron Scott had Bird call out the specific play, the specific spot on the floor, and the specific shot while standing next to the Lakers bench, then watched him execute it to end the game. You're about to hear from the players who lived it, all of them destroyed by the same guy from French Lick, Indiana. Robert Parrish spent more than a decade as Larry Bird's teammate on the Boston Celtics. He watched Bird do what Bird did to opposing players from the inside, from the same locker room, through 3 championships. When Parrish says Bird never stopped talking trash, red hot or ice cold, it did not matter. He is speaking from daily observation. But the specific story Parrish tells is the one that stands above the rest. Playing the Phoenix Suns, with Tom Chambers assigned to guard Bird, Parrish watched his teammate walk through the jump ball circle, pull Chambers aside, and deliver one of the most arrogant and accurate statements anyone has ever made on a basketball court.
One thing you got to give Larry Bird, he could be red hot or ice cold. He never stopped talking trash. Ever. Ever. Ever.
I got one, Coop.
Great story. Playing the Phoenix Suns, and their main man was Tom Chambers, and Chambers was guarding Larry.
Larry Bird with a left-handed hook. Watch how he comes up on the other side. Two-handed. Tail the rebound to Bird. Nice. It's back to Paris. Nice. Pick and roll. Hornacek had it, lost it.
And so in the jump ball circle, Larry walked through myself and Chambers, and then came back and told Chambers, I know you guarding me, and I want you to know something. There's only one man that can guard me, and that's God. Now think about that for a second. Think about the confidence and the arrogance it takes to make that statement.
He was so confident in himself that he would also quite literally disregard his coaches and the plays they drew up in certain scenarios if they were not plays for himself.
Rob, let me ask you this one. There's a story going around where K.C. Jones was drawing up a play, and you guys were all in the huddle, and I guess he was having a hard time saying it. Larry told him, hey, give me the ball, and the rest of you guys get the hell out the way. Is that true?
The story behind that, Kevin was the one that had the hot hand. But as we all know, Larry's the man, and that's Larry's team. So Larry should take the first shot. But KC was torn between drawing up something for Kevin because he had the hot hand and not offending Larry. So Larry just took the F over. Draw up a play for me and give me the ball and get out of my way. And that was the end of the X and O's.
There really was no one like Larry Bird, and love him or hate him, he was confident in his game. John Stockton was still finding his footing as a young point guard for the Utah Jazz when he had his first real Larry Bird experience. It did not happen during warm-ups or the opening tip. It happened before the game even started, while Bird was stretching casually in front of the Jazz bench like he owned the building.
Probably the best NBA moment was Larry Bird, same guy, same era. He walked in and kind of stretched in front of our bench one day before our game started. He says, I'm feeling like 41 tonight. And I'm looking around. I said, nobody's popping out. Nobody's saying anything back. I said, well, this is weird. And he scored his 41th point to start the fourth quarter and checked himself out with a 20-point victory. And that was game over. So these guys can back it up a little.
Stockton tells this story with the tone of a man who has processed it for decades and still cannot quite believe it happened. The part that gets him is that nobody on the bench said a word. No one wanted to wake up the bear. Bird knew it, felt it, and scored 41 points anyway, just because he said he would. Ron Harper is one of the more underrated players of his generation, a long, athletic guard who was on his way to becoming one of the premier scorers in the league before a devastating knee injury in 1990 altered the trajectory of his career entirely. Before that injury, Harper was one of the few young players who had the physical tools to at least make Bird work for it. Bird noticed, and then Bird made sure Harper knew he noticed.
I don't know if you can put Larry Bird at a small or at the size he had. Okay. But Larry Bird is in my top 5 players of all time now.
Well, what position do you put Larry Bird as?
As a basketball player, I'm not gonna put him as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Larry Bird is special.
Yeah.
See?
So he has to be in every single top 5 then.
Larry Bird is special.
All right.
See,
he talking my language.
See, people don't understand. Right. When I came to the league, and I said I want to guard Larry Bird.
Right.
And they like, you want to guard Larry Bird? Go ahead, guard Larry Bird. So we walked on the basketball court, and I'm walking on the court, and they're like, Rook, what you doing over here? I said, I'm about to shut your shit down, Bird. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
They go, Rook, you guarding the great Larry Bird. I'm like, I got this guy. Yeah. He said, I'm going to go down low, I'm going to catch, turn around, shoot. Come down low, hit him down low.
This is what he tells you.
He telling me play by play.
Yeah, we just said this.
Come down, shoot, bang. He said, I'm going to go to the wing, turn, and shoot again. I'm like, I'm throwing this back. Boom, boom, bang. I'm like, damn. You can't, that size, slow, white boy, move, but you can't guard him.
Right.
Then he goes me, I'm going to shoot behind this damn hash mark. And I'm like, behind the hash.
He's telling you this all day.
Before they started shooting behind the hash, he telling me this. I'm going to catch on the wing behind the hash. He catch on the wing and he shoots it. I'm like, and he goes, oh, that's an air ball. And I turn around and like, that ain't going to hit anything. Right. And net goes up in the air. I'm like, come guard me now. Right. Like, I'm Larry Bird. I'm not guarding you. so people don't really understand how. He was special.
Right.
He was special before he got hurt.
Right.
If he didn't ever get hurt, man, please.
Man.
When Bird respected you enough to target you, it meant something. Harper's knee changed everything about what his career became, but his Larry Bird story stands as one of the most memorable moments of his career, even with all of those rings he won. Brad Daugherty was a 5-time All-Star center for the Cleveland Cavaliers, a skilled, polished big man who was one of the better post players in the Eastern Conference during his era, but not as disciplined as Larry Bird.
Larry Bird catches the ball in the corner, I take off running out at Larry Bird, and right when he's getting ready to shoot, I jump. And as I go by, him, he tells me, he says, fly, Bird. And I go right by him, he shoots the ball, it's nothing but nine.
I mean, he was talking to you while the shot went up and still nailed it every single time. Legendary. Gary Payton was a Defensive Player of the Year, a 9-time All-Defensive First-Team selection, the point guard who held Michael Jordan to his lowest scoring average in a finals series, a man who talked relentlessly for his entire career and backed it up with Hall of Fame level defense and production. When Payton says somebody gave him trouble with their words, that is a statement that carries real weight. Bird was the only one. That is how Payton puts it.
Larry Bird was pretty good. You know, he had the lines, the one lines, and then he'll do it. You know, like I didn't get discouraged by Michael Jordan. I didn't get discouraged by Reggie Miller. I thought they were great trash talkers, but if anyone that gave me some good lines and would come back and can back it up and hit a jump shot in your mouth or talk about you got a Christmas present, here it is, this is jumper in your mouth and stuff like that, it was Larry Bird. I think Larry Bird was pretty good.
Interesting you say Larry Bird because I've looked up some stats. His last 2 seasons were your first 2 seasons in the NBA.
Right.
So as you mentioned, giving you Christmas present, like he went to work. Here's some random box scores, okay? December 3rd, 1990, Seattle at Boston. They gave you guys 30. Bird had 11 and 10. You had 4 points. February 12th, 91, Boston at Seattle, 114, 111. Bird, 18 and 10. You had 4 points, but 13 assists in that game. Okay, that's your rookie season. The following year, Seattle at Boston, December 13, 91, you guys lost by 20. Bird 28-8. That game, for some reason, you were held scoreless. Still had a 7 dimes. And then December 27, 91, Boston at Seattle, 110-87. They won again. Bird had 25 and 10, and you had 4 points, 4 assists. Your teams never beat Larry Bird's team. You're 0-4 against Larry. Not you, but your teams were 0-4 versus those Celtics teams.
To have to hear the stats that Bird was putting up at his old age was probably very sobering for Payton, who prides himself on being better than the next guy. But when this is Larry Bird we are talking about, it's hard to beat him, both in the trash talk game and with your actual game. Most of Bird's trash talk was targeted. One specific player, one specific matchup, one specific wound he had identified and decided to press. But M.L. Carr, Bird's teammate during the early Celtics dynasty, recalls a game where Bird dispensed with the individual approach entirely and just went after an entire opposing team at once. The whole roster.
I remember the time when Larry got on the roll, started shooting the ball, every shot was going in.
Goodbye, she's gone.
I guess the 2-pointer was too close. When he ran by the bench, he goes, that's a heat check. Just see how hot I am. All right, it runs by Frank Layden, who's the funniest guy in the league. And Frank is coaching, and Larry says to him, hey, Frank, don't you have anybody on that bench that can guard me? He goes, so nobody out here can. Frank looked down at the bench and goes, no.
He treated trash talk as psychological warfare, not entertainment, and that game was one of the most complete demonstrations of it. Norm Nixon was a 2-time champion with the Los Angeles Lakers and one of the better point guards of his era, a quick, smart player who had seen just about everything the league had to offer by the mid-1980s. So when the NBA staged its very first three-point contest in 1986 and invited Nixon to compete, he felt a little out of his element, since he was not exactly known as a three-point shooter. That confusion turned to something closer to fury the moment Bird walked into the locker room before the event.
This is a funny story. And I was so pissed off because I was with the Clippers, right? And I was a free agent. So I held out a camp for them to pay me my money. You know, Don Sterling wasn't going to pay me. So Lenny Wilkins had to pay me. So I'm halfway pissed off. So that year, they put me in a three-point shoot. I'm like, oh man, I didn't shoot threes. I never practiced for it. So we go back and we back getting ready to shoot it. So Larry walks in. He goes, Norm, everybody here shoot for second place. And I was so mad that I had practice, so I could at least do something. Everybody shooting, everybody going for second place. Then he went out and won the shit, right? So now we go to Boston. At that time, I was playing with Cedric. Maxwell was on the Clippers. No, he walked on the court like, Norm, all threes tonight. I'm shooting all three. I said, Maxwell gonna lock you up. I said, Max coming up here to lock you up here in Boston. So we started the game. He's at the three. He took a shot and somebody hit him and he fell down. I think I was on the other side of the court. So he's on the ground like this, looking for me. So he talked. That's why Doc, you remember if you look at the tape, Doc called him at half court and grabbed him, punched him about 8 times. Yeah. But Larry, it wasn't even halftime. I don't know how many points. He must have had 22. It was some crazy number point in the first half. And I think he was in, because you saw him running down the court. He was in Doc's ear. Doc stopped, turned around, bam, bam. So, no, Larry talked, man.
And then they played for real. And he kept that same energy. I mean, every player from that older era knows Larry Bird was the real deal, and he let you know it too. David, the Admiral Robinson, is still one of the most physically dominant big men to ever play in the league, and he had a bit of a different take on how Larry Bird's game pushed him. A lot of people talk about how discouraged he made you, but the Admiral recalls the stories as motivators.
Larry Bird. And I know a lot of you young folks may not really remember Larry Bird that well, but that man was a magician. And he was amazing. And he was 6'9", and he had the skill set of a guard. He wasn't that fast. He wasn't that great of an athlete. But he had the heart of a lion. And so playing against him was kind of my real first taste of, man, I want to do that. Right, I want to compete against that every day. That's the kind of thing that's going to make you a monster. And there were a lot of great players. I mean, make no mistake, I've faced a lot of great players every day. But I think when I came into the league, Larry Bird was at his peak, and he was incredible at what he did. And he was humble, and he came to work every single day.
He talked about Bird humility, which is something that you don't hear from a lot of these players that are still terrified by the words he spoke to them. What stands out from all of these stories is that none of these men were soft. A lot of them were seen as some of the toughest guys in the league. But the hick from French Lick was simply better. He schooled them whether they saw it coming or not, and marched his way into basketball history.